Yujiro Hanma will never return and never be mentioned again. This is my own hot take, and unfortunately I think this might be the case. The last, first and only time he appeared in the main series was of course during Baki vs Yujiro, which we all got to see animated last year. However, this reveal occurred in 2012 of the manga's release schedule, 12 years ago now. Since then, we have had 2 more completed Baki series, and now a 3rd ongoing manga known as Baki Rahen. Throughout all these hundreds of chapters, we have not got a single mention of Yujiro Hanma. And realistically speaking, Baki as a series cannot last forever, so perhaps his mysterious nature will remain forever. Of course, I hope I'm wrong and we do get that Hanma flashback arc, or at least a single mention, and best case scenario, a side manga dedicated to Yujiro, not just little appearances like we've gotten in the past in Doppo's side manga and that one panel in the new Shiba manga. And speaking about this monster, we got takes about some things to consider when trying to work out how strong he is. First is the infamous getting his jaw broken by young Doppo's kick. Some believe, based on Yujiro's fairly chill and smug demeanor, that he was just joking about the kick doing damage, while even holding his hand to the jaw after the kick. Many also use this claim when Doppo jumped up to prove this point, that he's glad that someone out there knows how strong he truly is, alongside him repeating that line in the final panel of the chapter as he reads what Doppo did in the paper, revealing his jaw that seems to be fine. So yes, I think it's likely Yujiro was just messing around in this moment, but this is not absolute, so the slander can of course continue. His second point was about Yujiro surviving these various bombings on the island and receiving, as we can see, no damage, even to his clothing, pretty much implying he may have avoided all of them with perhaps guerrilla tactics or something similar. But considering the sheer amount of ammunition used and the size of the island, it's still hard to disagree that this is an insane feat for Yujiro. And then we have his ghost-like appearance in the series. Yes, I agree that this doesn't really add any information for finding out how strong he is, for more so shocking the others rather than putting fear into them due to how strong he is. However, even for Baki standards, this was a very wild moment that never had the characters mentioned again. I also agree that him having a demon back does help his arguments for him being perceived as stronger, alongside the respect Yujiro clearly has for him to a degree, at least for that one technique. So Yujiro Hanma being strong is most likely the case. Musashi Miyamoto can still low diff current Baki Rahen Jack. So this take is probably going to be around until we actually get Jack's fight against Baki or Yujiro, the only 2 comparable to the legendary samurai. And the question is, do people really think Baki is just going to low diff Jack in their rematch? Additionally, we have some ways to argue for Jack during the Musashi arc as well. This is of course using our boy Motobe, who as we know was capable of defeating Musashi. Yes, it's claimed that he could have been killed at many points, and as a whole does not think he's really a match for full power Musashi, but still he has the means to fight him as clearly displayed. Jack faced that same Motobe during that arc, and had the Prep Time King freaking out about how crazy Jack is, once again his resolve, with the stun grenade not stopping the onslaught of blows, needing to bind the Hanma to stop the fight, and facing him to stop the wild beast from being killed by Musashi, which begs the question of what would have happened if they faced one another. I think he probably would have been killed, but I wouldn't even consider that fight a low diff, even more so now. Which also begs the question of if we're ever going to see Musashi return to the series, as it's claimed within the end of his arc that it's a possibility. However, I've gone over this before, I believe this was just placed in to appease the fandom who were probably pissed off at the time when Musashi was taken out in such an unfortunate way, in combination with what happened between Yujiro and Musashi earlier in the arc. Multiple disappointments, then just outright removing him without an all-out fight or a defeat per se was a little unfortunate, so I don't think he's ever going to return. However, on that note, he has already been mentioned twice in the new Baki Rahen manga, 15 chapters in, 2 Musashi Miyamoto mentions, which is pretty cool. I hope he does return, but honestly don't see it happening. And with that, welcome to today's Baki hot takes video. The takes are from the Discord, free to join, link in the description. Let's get into all the others. Hanayama 100% hits harder than Jack. I agree with this. Hanayama is pretty much a brute strength fighter. He's known for his almighty build-up punch that is super slow but seems to hit pretty much every fighter when it's used, which is kind of crazy. I'm imagining it has some low-key hacks that just stuns his opponent with the glory of it. Hanayama was able to make Yujiro bleed back in the Musashi arc. So yes, Hanayama, when it comes to pure striking ability, is up there, one of the strongest. Kaku over all the muscle-based fighters. So I disagree with this. Yujiro during his fight against Kaku was able to overpower his abilities with raw strength alongside this little trick, which honestly isn't that technical and a lot of characters could realistically do that. With the guys mentioned here having enough strength to honestly just crush Kaku at this point. And I would also argue that all of them are physically stronger than the Yujiro who faced Kaku, as every character progressively gets stronger throughout the series, particularly Yujiro. My man is spitting facts. Hanayama will forever be goated. Another hot take from me, Pickle being pickled, which is just outright confirmed in the series. That's how he got the name Pickle. Hanayama has Jack beat on grip, I agree. They are roughly equal in durability. Yeah, I can agree with that. And then Jack has him in speed and technique. Yes, also agree it's a mid-diff win for Jack. Probably the case, so yeah, agreeable all around. Jack and Pickle's bite-off will be legendary and will go down as the best and most brutal fight in Baki history. Probably the case in the rematch. The initial biting clash is still one of the greatest moments in all of Baki, and still probably to this day my favourite fight in all of Baki. The rematch will go absolutely insane. Jack has much more to prove, Pickle has his new build, cannot wait. Doyle isn't weak, Retsu with weapons is just him. This guy may be onto something, considering Doyle actually performed decently well against Oliver, landing a few attacks alongside actually tanking a slam from Oliver that had people think an earthquake was occurring. So Doyle kinda crazy. I've done a whole breakdown of how strong the prisoners are in this video here. Yujiro can time travel. Well, Baki claims Yujiro is above time, so perhaps he can. Retsu during the Musashi arc, top 10 or even top 5. Potentially the case, especially with weapons, alongside the Xiao Li abilities he gained from Kaku. Retsu was kinda busted and it's just unfortunate he got taken out before really getting a chance to challenge other fighters with these new abilities. However, quite some time has passed, the other characters are beginning to get insanely strong, which to me means Retsu is no longer in the top 10 strongest of all time. Demonback Baki loses to base form Yujiro. Low-key might be true, and it's sad that it is. The longer the arc runs, the worse the main antagonist keeps getting of that arc, except Musashi. Yes, agreed, just look at all the prisoners, started out as monstrous, then slowly got defeated. We had Ali Jr., who I guess was the antagonist during that time, came in, destroyed Doppo, destroyed Goki, and then unfortunately faced Jack and then lost over and over and over. Sukune started out strong, defeating Oliver, then this loss. Once again highlighting how monstrous Musashi was. And I also think Jack is going to have the same type of showings, especially when you consider they face the same person to begin their arcs or their mangas. Current Doppo over the young Yujiro, 16 years old, yes, definitely agree. The current Doppo Orochi is by far the strongest version of him we've ever had in the series. And of course, a weaker version of Doppo was able to push a stronger version than what he's talking about in the hot take here, so yes, without a doubt. I do think Goki and Katsumi are monstrous, and as he said, they do have a chance of beating Hanayama. Katsumi did beat Hanayama during the Maximum Tournament, and even now probably has more narrative with him considering he has Retsu's arm. And Goki is always the ultimate troll, can do some wild stuff. Just look at how he manhandled Oliver during the Prisoner arc as well. Current Katsumi would slam Kaku without the use of the hitless blow. Yeah, I agree with this. Katsumi is absolutely monstrous now, and Kaku is extremely outdated. Not weak per se and would give up a great match, but Katsumi is just that guy now, he doesn't really stand a chance. Yujiro being the strongest forever has got to be the shittest thing I've heard of. I guess that's one of the most unique things about Baki. The main antagonist was really never defeated and remained as the strongest for the whole history of the story. The series will end with Yujiro being defeated, potentially, but also potentially not, considering what the author has said about him in various interviews, so I wouldn't be surprised if Yujiro just never loses. And speaking of that, yeah, it may be the case. And now we have the final hot take in today's video. Doppo beats Goki and Oliver. So Doppo faced and lost against Goki during the maximum tournament. However, since then I would imagine Doppo's gotten stronger to a higher degree. However, Goki's still that guy. I would imagine these two are still extremely relative. Doppo being able to beat Oliver, I wouldn't really agree with, but I think it is possible. They are close enough in abilities and power that it would be an extremely close fight. I would actually love to see something like that in the future of the story. I hope you enjoyed. Shout out to these mad lads. You can become one as well by, of course, becoming a member. You get access to these various videos and all these other benefits. Thank you for the supporters. That's it, guys. Peace.